Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's VinPF. On today's episode, we've got another celebrity endorsed whiskey, in this, the SirDavis, aka the Beyoncé whiskey. Now, if this is your first time finding this channel because you're a fan of Beyoncé or you've picked up this bottle or whatever, just want to say a massive welcome to you. Hopefully you enjoy this video. If you're getting into whiskey for the first time, this is a great place to subscribe to for all your kind of reviews and whiskey content, but hopefully I'll have you on board. But for everybody else, welcome back to the channel and we'll get back into this whiskey right now. Now, as you've seen, this is the brand new SirDavis, aka the Beyoncé whiskey. This one here I picked up because it's intrigued me no end. I've covered quite a few celebrity bottlings in the past and they've not always hit well with me. You know, we've got the David Beckham endorsing the Hague Club, we've got Kiefer Sutherland endorsing the Red Bank, and I've reviewed both of those fairly poorly. That said, upcoming, you won't know this because I haven't done the review yet, but I've got the Bob Dylan whiskies behind me and I'm going to be covering them fairly soon, and I actually quite like them. So for me, this one here, all of the data I read online, I had to get it, I had to try it, just to make sure it was a good whiskey or not. Now, from a whiskey point of view, what we've got here is a collaboration between Beyoncé and Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy's Bill Lumsden. Very famous in the whiskey world, excellent whiskey maker, doing great stuff for Ardbeg and Glenmorangie. Superb, basically, ticking the box right there. You know, he's not going to put out terrible whiskey, I don't think. Add to that, now this is a rye whiskey, but it's got an interesting mash bill, as in it's 51% rye, as we might expect from a rye whiskey, but it's 49% malted barley. That's not completely out of the ordinary, but it's not that common, really. Then it's been finished in sherry casks, which to me can only be a winner. You know, I'm not a huge fan of rye whiskey, generally speaking. More than happy to give this a try. On the bottle, some key information. We don't really know where this is from, but it does say on here, distilled and aged in Indiana. So we're going to make a bit of a rough guess that this is MGP. For those that don't know, that's a massive powerhouse in the whiskey making world. They make whiskey for quite a lot of brands, but they really know what they're doing. You know, MGP can be a bit of a sticking point to some whiskey drinkers because they think it's not kind of like transparent and whatnot, but I will say MGP liquid is astounding. They really know what they're doing, and you can basically walk into MGP if you've got enough money and order whatever whiskey you want. You know, or you can get Dr. Bill Lumsden to put it together for you and create something exceptional. This has then been aged in sherry casks and blended over in Texas to kind of give it that kind of extra Texan vibe, if you like, to match in with Beyoncé. The bottle itself, I will say, I don't normally talk about bottle, but here the design I think is exceptional. It's really class looking bottle. I love the decanter vibe. It's got a nice, it's thick on one side, thin on the other, nice for pouring. I really like this little feature on the front. That's not coming off anytime soon. And the lid, let's do a little pop. Oh, that's just a nice, it's cork as well, but it's got a nice little plastic seal in there. Very nice glass design. I actually said to my wife earlier that I will probably use this as my infinity bottle going forward because it's actually really lovely. Finally then, we best talk about why it's called SirDavis. This is a reference back to Beyoncé's great-grandfather, Davis Hague, quite well known for kind of whiskey making, moonshining, stuff like that. So it's a nice little nod to Beyoncé's whiskey making heritage in the background and her love of whiskey now. She's been saying that she likes whiskey with a little bit of bite to it, so hopefully we're going to get something interesting out of this. But I guess all we have to do now is get into the actual whiskey and see what we've got. We don't know much about added colour or chill filtration. It's 44%, so it might well be chill filtered. No information on that, but it's a nice colour nonetheless. We like it. Let's get onto the nose and see what we've got. Now for me, it's got a really great sweet, sugary nose, kind of brown sugar. Cherries, almost like a cherry Coke kind of vibe. And bags of woody to it, it's lots of tannins. Beautiful. It's a nice nose, I'll give it that. Let's try on the palate. Alright, again, very sweet up front. Loads more of those cherry flavours coming through. I'm liking it to kind of a cherry Coke. Like, that Coke flavour you can't really describe as anything else other than a Coke flavour. Bags of kind of rye bread that you would expect. Lots of dried fruits as well. We're talking about raisins and sultanas, that sort of thing, coming from the sherry cask influence most likely. But the cool thing about this is, one of the things I don't like about rye whiskey that's like 100% rye or whatever, tends to be quite in my face and fiery and spicy. And this one doesn't really go down that road. The malted barley, that's nearly half, is kind of evening that out nicely. So there are some spices there, but we're talking about things like clove and cinnamon rather than things like jalapenos and really kind of like, chili fieriness that are going on. So for me, this is actually a really nice, easy drinking whiskey. Now, what I'll do at the end of these videos normally is I'll go into value. In this country, I spent 79 quid on this, and then postage on top of that. So it was quite expensive, I will say. Now, it was a little bit cheaper in America, but right now, at the time of recording, this is sold out basically everywhere. So basically, what do I know about price? People are willing to pay the money for this. I don't know how many bottles of this are in existence, quite a lot, because we would never, like even Bob Dylan's whiskies took forever to get over to the UK, but because we had such a massive allocation over here right at the start, I imagine there was quite a lot of bottles of this going. For me, coming at it from a whiskey drinker's perspective, it's probably a little bit expensive versus the mouthfeel and the taste that I'm getting. I can definitely pick up what I would consider to be better tasting whiskies for the same price or a bit less. However, I caveat that with, that's kind of not the point here. Obviously it's sold out, so people are buying this. People are going to be enjoying this. If you're watching this and you're not typically a fan of whiskey, but you want to find out more about whiskey, that's exactly the point of this whiskey. It has got that bite to it. It's not as smooth as some whiskies could be, if you want to use the S word, but hopefully it's bringing new people into the category, and we can introduce you to more whiskey on top of this. So if that's you, hopefully you're going to like this video and you're going to stick a thumbs up on it for me, because I would love to have you on board and learning more about whiskey. And that's what I think the point of this is. It's something for the fans of Beyoncé. She's got a lot of fans who are going to want this, and quite rightly so. It's a lovely piece for the shelf, and hopefully you'll all pop it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you'll want to learn more about whiskey. And in that regard, I think it's money well spent. You're going to enjoy this whiskey if you like whiskey, if you like Beyoncé and get involved in the whole kind of ethos of it all. You're going to like this whiskey, I think. There's not much bad to say about it, apart from the fact that if it didn't have Beyoncé's label on it, it would probably be a little bit too expensive. But that's it. That's my only negative to say on it. Other than that, I think it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. It's a rye whiskey that I actually like for a change, which is really good. To be celebrity endorsed is quite a surprise to me. I went into this thinking I'm probably not going to like it, and I did. So there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you check along for more content just like this. Subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be putting out weekly content for whiskey going forward. I'll say cheers to you. Salancha.